Three Federation Marines trek across an icy world. Suddenly, from above, a figure descends, instantly crushing one. As the dust clears, the remaining Marines face off against this mysterious hunter. In 2006, this was our introduction to Sylux. Since then, despite relatively little lore to develop the character, Sylux has become a constant presence in the background of the Metroid Prime series. With each new entry, Sylux crawls slowly out of the shadows, quietly being built up as a threat to Samus and the Galactic Federation as a whole. As we inch closer to Metroid Prime 4 and a potential confrontation, let's review everything we know about this lurking hunter. I'm John Reardon, you're watching NWR TV, and this is the history of Sylux. Sylux's first canon appearance was in 2006, as one of several hunters Samus encountered in Metroid Prime Hunters for the Nintendo DS. He, like Samus and the other hunters, was searching for mysterious ultimate power as he clashed with Samus multiple times across the Limbic cluster. Sylux, along with the other hunters, inadvertently freed an ancient evil called Gorilla, thinking that this ultimate power is something they could claim for themselves. When Gorilla was revealed, it absorbed the information from Sylux and the other hunters' weapons. Realizing there is no power to be claimed, Sylux and the other hunters flee, leaving Samus to defeat Gorilla on her own. After that, Sylux remained quietly in the background as the Federation dealt with the proliferation of Phazon and the mounting threat of the space pirates. We don't know exactly what he was doing during this time, but we do know he was keeping close tabs on Samus. At the end of Metroid Prime 3, Sylux's ship can be seen following Samus as she heads off into deep space, though it is worth noting that this isn't the same ship he flew in Hunters. In 2015, the pilot of the ship seen following Samus was confirmed to be Sylux by series producer Kensuke Tanabe himself. In the aftermath of Phazon depletion, as the Federation explored new methods to combat the space pirates, Sylux made another appearance. With the help of the specialized mech unit known as the Federation Force, the Galactic Federation acquired a Metroid egg for study. However, Sylux snuck into the Federation research facility housing the egg and used some sort of device to cause the egg to hatch. What happened to the Metroid and Sylux after this is currently unknown. While all we see of Sylux in this scene is his arm, and specifically a bit of his shoulder armor, the environment artist who worked on the scene, Logan Foster, confirmed that the character in the scene was indeed Sylux as suspected. Sylux's backstory prior to his arrival in the Limbic cluster isn't exactly spelled out. In fact, we aren't even really sure that he is a he. While Prime series producer Kensuke Tanabe has referred to Sylux using male pronouns, Sylux's trophy in Super Smash Bros. Brawl for Nintendo Wii uses gender-neutral pronouns instead. That Super Smash Bros. Trophy is actually one of the few sources we have for Sylux's backstory. Here's what it says. A skilled marksman and bounty hunter experienced in espionage skills such as scouting and tracking. While much of its backstory remains a mystery, it is clear that it hates Samus and the Federation. Sylux uses the Shot Coil, an experimental Federation-made weapon that continually drains energy from enemies and refills its own. In fact, with that in mind, let's go through every official reference to Sylux we have, because there aren't many of them. Of course, an obvious place to start is in Metroid Prime Hunters itself. When scanned, Sylux provides the following log entry. This hunter's power suit appears to be based on a Federation prototype, and possesses extraordinary offensive and defensive capabilities. Sylux's weapon is the Shot Coil, a banned technology that fires charged blasts of high-density neutrinos. Sylux has a short bio in the manual for Metroid Prime Hunters as well, which states, Sylux is a resourceful tracker and a deadly sharpshooter who harbors an intense hatred for the Galactic Federation and for Samus Aran for assisting the Galactic Federation in the past. A very similar comment can be found in archived versions of Metroid.com, which now simply redirects to the Nintendo website. Here's what it says. Little is known about the mysterious bounty hunter known as Sylux, other than the fact that Sylux harbors an intense hatred for the Galactic Federation and the bounty hunter who has helped the Federation time and time again, Samus Aran. So while there isn't a huge variety of information there, we do have one key piece of information repeated over and over again. While Sylux hates Samus, the true target of his hatred is the Galactic Federation itself, and he merely sees Samus as their ally time and time again. His hatred for the Federation might cause you to jump to the conclusion that he is in fact a space pirate, the rival organization of the Federation, but that doesn't appear to be the case. In the intro for Metroid Prime Hunters, Sylux's species is listed as unknown. Meanwhile, Weevil is plainly listed as a space pirate. If Sylux was among their ranks, it's fair to assume that the intro would have just told us. Metroid Prime Hunters story writer Richard Verodi stated in an interview with ShineSpark that, "We have a great backstory written up for Sylux. There's a lot of threaded storytelling in there that made using the character in other games a good fit. I would love to tell you what's going on under that suit." Clearly, what exactly Sylux is has already been established behind the scenes, and his story ties into the greater Metroid universe. Perhaps this is why Kensuke Tanabe seems so dedicated to weaving Sylux into the greater Prime storyline. It is worth noting that Sylux is the only hunter from Metroid Prime Hunters to have a continuing presence in the Prime storyline. Initially, many theories placed Sylux as a member of an alien race we had not yet met. However, his equipment leads to a very different likelihood. What little established lore there is for Sylux clearly states that his equipment, including his ship, armor, and weapons, were stolen from the Federation, implying that at some point, Sylux had access to these materials. In Federation Force, he also seems to be able to easily access a Federation research facility and interface with their technology. His hand also appears very human. It stands to reason then that Sylux isn't some unknown alien at all, but a Federation citizen. With that in mind, one has to question what pushed him to hate his own people so much. Outside of a few minor missteps with biological warfare, the Federation is generally represented as the uncontested good guys of the Metroid universe. However, tucked away in a random bit of dialogue is perhaps the clue we need to understand Sylux's motivations, maybe even to sympathize with him. At the beginning of Metroid Prime 3, as Samus explores the GFS Olympus, it's possible to find some crew members comparing the military action the Federation is taking against the space pirates to something called the Horus Rebellion.
The pirate attacks must have the old man nervous. Looks like he's getting ready for a full-scale invasion.
No joke. Last time this many fighters were scrambled was during the Horus Rebellion.
That was some nasty business.
I have a feeling this'll be worse.
So what in the world was the Horus Rebellion that it compares to this massive fleet action against the space pirates? Well, in an unused log entry for Metroid Prime 3 for the Aurora Unit 313, one more reference appears to be made to the Horus Rebellion. Here's what it says. 313 has always shown a satisfactory performance during its career. However, there were concerns about its unusually high aggression potential. 313 was awarded the Medal of Honor. After the bridge crew fell during the Battle of Horus 4, it assumed command of the Valhalla. Without this fast action, the battleship would have been lost. Now from here we enter the realm of speculation, beyond hard canon. But I think there are some things we can surmise from what we know. The fact that this is referred to as a rebellion by the Federation implies that it was a rebellion by Federation citizens against the Federation, and that the Federation, including a particularly bloodthirsty Aurora unit, put that rebellion down. Now imagine if a particular bounty hunter who once served in the Federation military were involved in that conflict, fighting on the side of the Federation. Perhaps it even influenced her leaving the military and pursuing life as a bounty hunter. Now let's say there was a survivor of that rebellion. A Federation citizen who likely lost loved ones to an overly aggressive military takedown of a rebellion. With access to Federation tech, this person could make himself a very real threat, with presumably nothing left to lose. That sounds like a supervillain origin story to me, and a good reason for Sylux to have a chip on his very recognizable shoulder against the Federation. What do you think? Let us know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to Nintendo World Report TV and checking out NintendoWorldReport.com for a whole lot more. If you want to chat with us, you can join our Discord using the link in the description, and if you want to get a hold of me in particular, you can give me a shout on Twitter at JTSKnight92. Once again, my name's John Raridan, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. This video was made possible by our generous supporters on Patreon. Did you know that Nintendo World Report is funded directly by fans like you? When you support Nintendo World Report on Patreon, you get immediate access to multiple exclusive podcasts every month, exclusive Discord channels, an early look at select content, and more, all for as little as $1 a month. Check out patreon.com/NWR for all the details.